On today's episode, we're exploring what happens when a chef's obsession with local agriculture meets an 800-degree oven. Our guest today is the sole proprietor of Happy Valley Chef LLC, a man known for his sweet corn and poppy seed crusts and for sourcing every tomato and pepper from the very farmers in central PA. Joining us to share his journey from Bellefonte to Charleston and back again, Thomas Novosel. Thomas, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So, we always start the podcast where we just get into your story with pizza, but I do want to mention that we talked a little bit about this before the show that, I'm very familiar with State College. I lived there before. I know the area. And immediately when I saw your page, it brought me back to my college days and just living in that area. And I think it's so cool what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a really, really beautiful place to live. It's very, very nice. Like you were saying with the agriculture, it's filled with many different options that I get to utilize and play around with.
That's awesome. So let's talk about you. So did you grow up there?
I grew up in Bellefonte, and so Bellefonte and State College, it's about a 16-mile difference, and now we reside in State College.
That's awesome. Yeah, my college roommate was from Bellefonte, so I'm also very familiar with that. So it's a really cool area. And then, so you grew up there, went to school, and then it seems like you kind of started on your culinary journey after that, right?
Yeah, so I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, and cooking was something I could just pop into. In high school, I worked at Jim's Italian Cuisine, which kind of instilled the work ethic that I have to this day, watching the the old guys in the kitchen, Jim and their team just really cranking it out every single day. That restaurant is still operating. Jim is still there operating. This is 50 plus years later that
Wow.
that business has been there. So I was really, really fortunate to be a part of that and get to experience that and see his dedication. And then that just made me want to work really hard on, okay, if I don't know something, I can at least just work really hard at it and that'll get noticed and then I'll figure out how to be exactly like that.
Yeah, that seems like a really good way to go about it. So you're there in State College and you're working, and then where does your path take you?
So I'd worked for a lot of different restaurants in town. And as you were saying, I worked in Charleston, staging at a bunch of restaurants there, which was awesome. I absolutely loved that. It was a completely different style of cuisine and different ingredients, different pace. I really enjoyed when I had ventured out to private chefing and for these people that were coming into town that I could really showcase my skills and passion for food to them and have that connection. Then we moved back to State College and bounced around, and I really didn't want to work for anybody. And that's where I kind of threw around the idea of starting my own thing. I reached out to a local baker, Tony Sapia, about utilizing his kitchen space for the private chefing and meal preps and getting into that. He said, I'll do you one better. I have a wood fired pizza oven and a spot at the farmer's market. And then that was pretty much a wrap. After that, I was hooked. It was like, okay, this was the winter time. So I had a little bit of time to figure out, okay, how do I do make wood fired pizza?
Yeah,
So
and
that's where
you had never made it before.
I had made pizza previously at some restaurants, but I wasn't the pizza guy. I was the sauté guy, the expediter, and things like that. Didn't really focus on pizza, so it was new getting back into that, the dough, making the dough, and that's where we had started to explore all the mom and pop shops, whether it's in Lancaster, Scranton, and just trying pizza, eating pizza, figuring out, okay, this is good, this isn't good, this is a great style. And then I was introduced to the Pizza Expo in 2017. And that's really where it opened my eyes to there's a lot of different opportunity and networking and talented chefs that I just started to research them and it's yeah. Now it's 2026. 9 years later, we've been operating at multiple different farmers markets, breweries.
That's incredible. So tell me about, the early days, like you have the wood fire pizza oven, and did you have like times where it was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this? Like, do you have any failures that kind of helped you to fail forward?
Yeah, the first farmer's market, I remember very clearly. I did not fire up the oven previously to this. So it was cold, it was gloomy out, it was very, very damp. The oven was still damp. Fired it up, get it up, and it was not up to temperature. And I was stretching the dough, have a couple people in line. I was relatively new, so people, we don't know if we're gonna try that yet. I put the pizza in and the people are waiting. I'm just so anxious to get the pizza out, get it out. It's like, oh my goodness, it's taking too long. The oven's not hot enough. I should have fired up the oven last week and got it all dried out, so on and so forth. And I remember selling a pizza. My first pizza went out and I sold it knowing that it wasn't a good pizza. And I felt defeated at that point. I knew that it wasn't good and I had never done that before. With dishes that I prepared at restaurants. It was always had to be right on time. And I sold that pizza to this gentleman and I gave it to him and it just was not up to par. And I remember every market after that waiting to see him to give him a proper pizza. And I finally did. And it was awesome. He was very receptive of it, and I said, "This is what I'm trying to do," and I gave that pizza to him, and he then was he's still one of my longtime customers 9 years later. So, it was it was really, really special, and just to have that connection, and it was awesome.
I
But
love
that
that
was
you remembered that and that you remembered him, and then you end
Yeah,
up seeing him again. That's, like, pretty cool.
yeah.
Very nice. Now, when you're talking about, that you went around to PA, like, what were you finding in PA? Because, like, I'm from PA too, and I've definitely kind of toured the area, like, we eat pizza all the time. Can you talk about just central PA and just PA pizza and, like, what you're seeing?
Yeah, so Central PA, where we're at, a lot of New York style pizza. I would say there's a couple different places that really do a great job, and then there's some places that, yeah, it's okay. It's not anything that I'm gonna to write home or go back. And it has a lot to do with the passion that the people have for baking pizza, cooking, and the community, and that's really where I'd saw the mom and pop places with the sheet pan pizzas, and it's really amazing to see the different generations, the older generations still preparing those sheet pan pizzas, the grandma style and the Sicilian style, or in town here, we have Highway Pizza. They are pretty much the OGs of the pizza, Sicilian pizza in town in State College, and they're still at it, and they're still innovating and developing different things at their restaurants, and it's just really, really cool to find those different places that their heart and their soul is in making food, hospitality, and serving people.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, and my family started their pizza place back in 1960, and we do the sheet pan pizza.
Yeah, it's so good, and I
Yeah.
haven't had a chance to try that, but that's on my list to do probably within the next week because it's so close by.
Yeah, you have to let me know how you like it, and the next time I'm there, if you're in the area, I'll buy you a pizza.
Ah, I love that. That'd be great.
Yeah, yeah, no, we do the sheet pan, which was what my grandfather started in 1960, and then we brought in, like, a thin New York style pizza as well. Now let's go to, over to your making pizza and kinda how you came up with what kind of pizzas you wanted to make and your menu and all that kinda stuff.
Sure. So, again, at the Pizza Expo, I took some classes, meeting Tony Giamatti. That was really, really the start of it. Seeing him, the Pizza Bible, the Joy of
Mhm.
Pizza with Dan Ritchie. Um, those were the first people that I was introduced to that were doing some really unique things, coming up with some really cool creations, have had tons of experience. So I had taken a lot of those varieties of things that I had picked up from them at the Pizza Expo, went back to the kitchen, trying different recipes, figured out, okay, this is a good recipe that goes really well in the wood fired oven, and then use the dough and that that as the base and made that the canvas of all of the creations. It really was easy for me to then think of different varieties of combinations that I prepared in the restaurant, sauteing and dishes, and just lopped that right onto the pizza and made it pizza. And following the seasons at the farmers market was also really, really inspiring to meet all the different varieties of farmers that we have here. At this point, we work with probably about 30 different farmers and 30 different, they're all unique and they all have different varieties of vegetables and fruits. And maybe this person has some pre-made value-added products that we like to put on as an addition to some of those vegetables that we're utilizing, and that's been the best thing about this is exactly that. Following the seasons, getting the fresh produce, the fresh vegetables at the market, and then figuring out, okay, this is what we're going to do on the pizza.
That's the one thing that I absolutely loved about your page and when I looked you up, and it's like you're doing these very, like, different and unique cool things with pizza, and I love that it's, like, locally sourced and it follows the seasons, and, like, to me, that is such the vibe of PA.
It's really inspiring to just be around all of these different people that are putting their heart and their soul in growing the vegetables and really, really care. And that's been the most beneficial, valuable thing to me is having that access to those people and having that connection and having them invest in me and investing in them. And it's a mutual that's a mutual thing. It's awesome.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Now, in my, small amount of research that I did, I was looking at the sweet corn and poppy seed crust, and we talked about this a little bit on the intro, but
Yeah.
I wanna talk about that.
Sure. So that one came about in the summertime. It was sweet corn. We were on vacation and we were down in New Jersey, and some of their produce will come up prior to here. So I said, all right, I need to have something for Saturday. We're coming back Friday night and had to get these things gathered up. So we used our crust and we made a really nice poppy seed dressing with some cream cheese, sour cream, poppy
Mm.
seeds, a little bit of honey. So it had a sweet note, but we also had the roasted corn that we picked up in New Jersey and the Jersey tomatoes. So it was the roasted corn, and we took the cob, we milked a cob, put that onto the base in the poppy seed dressing, had some really nice caramelization on the corn, slices of tomato, some fontina, nice Parmesan Romano, fresh herbs on top, and it was a hit. It was a fan favorite of everybody. It was sweet, savory, really, really delicious.
It's a pizza that I've never heard of before that is now on the top of my list to try.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I really enjoyed creating that one, and that one we bring back every year, at least once or twice on the menu.
That's so cool. So were you guys out at the Jersey Shore?
Yeah, we were down in Avalon spending the week up until the farmers market, which is in the summertime. We start about May 19th and we run until November, until Thanksgiving. So I'm pretty locked in. So we just took a quick trip a couple days in the week time and came back to crank out the farmers market.
Yeah, Avalon's awesome. So, I have 4 brothers and sisters, and the majority of them live in Ocean City, New Jersey, which we lived there for a while. So, very familiar with the Jersey tomatoes, very familiar with the corn, and also just really like that area as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Very nice. Now, can we talk about some of your other pizza creations?
Yeah, sure. My goodness. It is pretty endless. So, blueberry season, really popular one. We have a blueberry brie pizza, which we have tons of spinach and kales in at that time. So,
Hmm.
on the base, we have a soft brie. We're using some sauteed kale with some garlic, some caramelized onions. The blueberries just pop on it, giving all the juice, and then we top it with a red wine gastrique. That one's really, really, really nice. Another unique one we've been playing around with recently, a Korean short rib. So my beef guy has tons of short rib that a lot of people don't prepare it because it takes a lot of time. So I pretty much buy all of the short rib. He knows to unload the short rib. So he braids the short rib in some anise and soy, gochujang, and we take that, the liquids, and we roast that down with carrots, making a puree on the base. And then we have some spinach, onions, the short rib, as well as Gouda cheese, which is a local cheesemaker here. They have a really nice Gouda cheese that we like to grate on top of it,
Mm.
with a little mixture of mozzarella and provolone, and that one's been phenomenal. It's pretty endless. Once the market starts in May, the asparagus will start to come on, so we do a roasted asparagus where we split the asparagus in half, and on the base, we have just a little bit of, charred scallion, a spring onion vinaigrette that we put down, and then the roasted asparagus, some fontina cheese, Parmesan Romano, really simple, easy, delicious pizza that goes really, really well. And then one of our other signatures, we have Breakfast Delight that we sell every Saturday morning at the market, which is roasted garlic. And then it has little pieces of scrapple, which is very, very unique. I haven't saw anybody make that on pizza, put scrapple and sausage, bacon, caramelized onions, Gouda, farm fresh egg, and then we top it with maple syrup and Parmesan Romano. It is phenomenal. We sell so many of those Saturday mornings, and they're lining up for 2 or 3 of them at a time to take back for breakfast and take for their families.
I absolutely love that. I mean, it's so cool that you're doing these things with pizza that are so unique and just, it's just like the story of a pizza artisan.
Yeah, it really is my passion in my life to just creating and connecting through food. That's been my voice, and yeah, it's been my voice, and it's really built me up to where I'm at today.
That's so cool. Now, do you have out of all these pizzas one that's like your favorite?
My goodness. I was just thinking of all of the creations that I've had. Honestly, I just always I've been making pizza for the past 3 weeks, preparing for the Pizza Expo in Vegas and trying different recipes. And a good cheese pizza, just that's the start of it for me. I love cheese pizza. If somebody is producing a really, really great cheese pizza, they can make all of the other varieties. So I love cheese pizza.
Yeah, I agree with you. I always start with the cheese pizza and then after that I will go to something else and try it, but it's the go-to.
Yeah,
Very nice. Now, let's talk about your schedule. I know you also do events, but I really want people to know where you are, how to find you, because I want
sure.
people to eat the pizza and go and see you.
Yeah, no, I love that. So our schedule is starting back. We're gonna start vamping up April 19th, and we're gonna be at Bull City Brewery. That's located in State College here, and we operate every other Sunday there. Tuesdays, we're at the Bollesburg Farmers Market, which has been operating for many, many years. We were there from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock every single Tuesday. And then Saturdays, we're at the North Atherton Street Farmers Market, which is also operated for the past 20 years. And that one goes from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And we also specialize in soups and meal preparations. And I don't just make pizza, which is really cool with my experience. And we have our products at a couple different locations, Bonfato's and Belfont. We have it at Everything Natural in Altoona, Nature's Pantry here in State College. And we're constantly just trying to reinvent what we can offer and the offerings and how we distribute it out.
That's awesome. Now, can we get into more of the meal prep and the soups and kind of some of the stuff that you guys make?
Sure. So with the soups have been that was one of my first significant jobs in the restaurant was the soup guy. And I was just really thrilled that I was working for a German chef and a French chef, and I was responsible for making the soups and utilizing all of the wasted scrap vegetables and the different varieties of leftover meats and fish, and they were very receptive of that, and they said, "All right, this is good." So then I was thrilled about that, getting that compliment, so it just kept me moving and coming up with different things. Whatever was there, I was had to come up with on how to utilize it and make it taste good to where the customer then would purchase it. And now we're last season, we made about 20 to yeah, probably over 30 different varieties of soup. We make a really excellent coconut beet lime, which is one of our signature soups with lemongrass and ginger, beets, coconut milk. The smoky tomato is another fan favorite with tons of smoked tomatoes, local carrots, onions, Meyer dairy cream,
Mm.
lemony cauliflower chicken, Korean hot mushroom. It's yeah, it goes on and on. We do a English pea with mint, a rip on a Thomas Keller recipe at Per Se, and carrot ginger bisque. That was one we did last week we started out with some onions, carrots, and I fortified it up with sunflower seeds to give it some really nice body to it. And that one is awesome with the fresh ginger from Shemp's Farm, which is right down the road. Swedish blueberry soup, that's a fan favorite. So we had a abundance of frozen blueberries and we made using toasted cardamom, blueberries, a little bit of, cream. Yeah, it's really endless on what we come up with. I wish I had a list of all of them to share. I'm kind of drawing a blank on some of
No,
the other
this is
varieties.
great.
Yeah, so and the big thing too is we don't put any sort of we don't thicken our soups with anything. We use vegetables and like I was saying with the sunflower seeds to bring some fat and body into it, almonds and tofu and things like that to make it so everybody can enjoy the soup, that it's not there's not really any sort of fillers in it.
That's so, so cool. Now, of all the creations that you have and between the soups and the pizza, what is the thing that you love most about creating these things?
It's been the connection to people and being able to break down barriers with people with the food.
Yeah,
Not when I first started, people weren't so receptive. We don't want to, what is this creation? Or we don't want to try that. And so then I started handing it out here, just try it. And that's how I just gained that momentum on getting people interested in my food and the different really unique flavor profiles and combinations that are really kind of bizarre if you haven't tried it. And again, the connection to the community and the people has been that keeps me shining and keeps me just going with the creations.
that's so cool. I love that you're getting people who wouldn't ordinarily try these different combinations to do that and to enjoy it. It's actually one of the coolest parts about what you do.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's so fulfilling.
Yeah, and do you have, any kind of, like, a special memory that sticks out where maybe somebody was, like, not willing to try something and end up loving it, and now they're, like, a regular customer for you?
I have so many of those things. People would be skeptical. They'd come up and see the menu, and I would just go out of my way to cut a slice of the pizza that I was preparing for somebody else and just give that to them. And that was it always works out. Or okay, I started to bring the soup to the farmer's market. Here's a cup of the soup. Here's a little tasting. Wow, the coconut beet lime, the color is very, very unique in the color, and people kind of just, I don't know about that. So here you go, try it. And then that has just really opened that up, and they tell their friends and so on and so forth. And it's really, really, really awesome.
Very cool. Well, Thomas, thank you so much for being a guest. I have you on my list for this summer. I'm planning on spending some time in Western PA this summer, so I want to get out to the farmers market and check out what you have and have some pizza with you.
Yeah, that would be great. I look forward to that.
Awesome. And just as a last thing, I want for people to be able to find you online. I know, guys, he's at Happy Valley Chef. Is there any other better way for them to find you online?
Yeah, that is our main handle is on Instagram at Happy Valley Chef. That's where we always any sort of messaging or posts, menus, different creations we're working on. We try to put all sorts of information, all the different recipes. Today we'll have tons of different things on our story. We haven't got into making so many posts. I want to make sure the right posts are on there, but a lot of the time we'll do different lives and show you what we're working on.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully people will watch and listen to this and they can get a better idea of who you are and what you're doing. And we can just add to the large number of people that you already have in the summer.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.